Greetings! Welcome to another episode of Random Encounters, where I, your cartoonist pal Stan, will do some drawing for you, little drawing magic for you. I'm going to, as I always do, use some. Well, you know what? I tried to mix it up tonight. I didn't. I fallen into a pattern of how I open it. I'm like, I'll just mix it up, and clearly I've thrown myself way off. So let me just go in. Hello, Chris Andrew. First one in, you win. You get the prize of me. Congratulations. Anyway, what I usually say is the show where I use random encounter tables, like the kind you find in tabletop role playing games, such as Dungeons and Dragons, and they use them together with input from you, who are in the live chat, like Chris Andrew, like Michael J. Pastor, uh, and uh, and my creative brain, my crazy creative brain, and we take a random who and a random what, and we put them together, and I draw it, just for the fun of it and for your entertainment, because I find this fun. I find this kind of thing fun, and I think drawing is fun, and so I encourage you out there, to grab your favorite notebook and pencil, or uh, printer sheets and a ballpoint pen, or an electronic drawing app like I use. I use an iPad Pro with an Apple Pencil and the app Procreate. None of which sponsors this. This is not a sponsored program. I tell you that because people want to know, what are you using? That's what I'm using. And I put it all together and I draw something. I don't know what it's going to be. Never drew it before, probably. And we draw it together and we have some fun and we hang out for about an hour and a half. And that's what the show is all about. For tonight's thumbnail, Michael says, are those New York City rats? Well, slumming in Philly. Well, it's been my experience that while New York has more rats, and very often bigger rats than I've seen in other cities, most major cities have their own rats that are worthy of that intro drawing. But yes, having grown up in the New York area, certainly New York rats. But in Manhattan, you don't see so many possums, which is also there. So I don't know. Raccoons, lots of raccoons in the suburbs, not so many in the city itself. It's a cartoon. What can you say? All right. So I guess having said that, I can pull this over just so folks who either came in late or weren't paying attention. That's the drawing that Michael is talking about. Um, if reading is fundamental, drawing is just plain fun, says Chris. That is his tagline for the show, which I probably should. I'm gonna try and find a place to work that in so that it's in writing and people can see that, Chris, because I really do like that. Chris says, I like New York. I've seen rats the size of raccoons. And they eat almost as much as I do. Yeah, well, growing up in the suburbs of New York, we had rats the size of medium-sized dogs coming up and trying to get into our garbage cans. So, yeah, lots of large wildlife going on in the New York metro area. All right, so I'm going to come here to my app. I'm going to come here to my iPad and I'm going to set it up so that we are ready to move along. And let's move along. We'll come over here and we will have a look at what's going on. These are our encounter tables for the night. And we're going to head on over to the die rolling app to figure out what our first who and what our first what will be for tonight. So let's roll and roll and roll. Come on, get some rolling. There we go. 6. 6 is adventurers. Adventurers, always adventurers, number 6. And 2. 6 and 2. So we've got adventurer and a purring kitten. Aww. Aww. I was wondering what I'd get if the T Rex and the Purring Kitten came along, or the Mimic and the Purring Kitten. I try not to think too much about these. I mean, clearly, I make the tables, so I can give some thought ahead of time as to what things might be. Um, More often than not, I don't. I choose not to put things on the list when I look at some of the crosses and go, that would be next to impossible to do. I'm not going to do that to myself. But as for the actual what I would do, I try not to think of it because I want this to be a creative, fun game where I'm actually coming at it without a pre-plan. But you can't help it. Sometimes you think I look at the when I put the Purring Kitten on it and I looked at what I had down on the Who column, I thought there's some interesting possibilities there. But what we have is not that this is not an interesting possibility, but we got adventurer and a purring kitten. So I think here's what I think. I think we're gonna. I've got a rough idea already. So I think what we're gonna have to have is someone with a kitten in their lap. And we're going to have someone in big, heavy armor making that we're going to presume is making noise. And of course, I've got my usual. Anyone that has seen the show knows that I've got the adventuring party that I use pretty regularly. I've been using them in various drawings and such for quite a long time. So that makes it easier for me to not have to think up what the characters will look like. I can just think up the situation and then use my usual characters for it. That doesn't work so well. All right. What we got going on here in the chat room? Purring Kitten is a displacer beast. You know what? We could give the Purring Kitten displacer beast uh, tentacles off the top. I like that idea. Let's do that. Again, I like I say, I like doing this for the creative challenge, and I like working input with you guys. So we'll do that. All right, that'll do. I've got an idea of what that means. Hopefully, you can see some of it. It's a good idea what it's going to be there. Michael says you bought Ray Valise's book. Yes, on my on the other show, on the 50 Years in the Dungeon show last night. My guest was Ray Valise, who is an editor and writer, and he has written a very good uh, book called Writing with Style. It's a guide for, it's an editor's guide to uh, RPG writers. And I was so when I was talking with Ray, I was mentioning that to everyone in the room, and what I think it's a terrific book. I think that it's good, not just for um, RPG writers, but for anyone that's doing any writing. It's and I said this last night too. It's kind of like a it's in the same vein as a Strunk and White Elements of Style, but uh, more approachably written and with an eye towards writing for adventure fiction and role playing games. So thank you, Michael, for picking that up. I'm glad that it sounded interesting, and I hope you enjoy the read. I have a very strong feeling you will. I don't recommend things lightly. Right. Two characters telling our big noisy character to be quiet. Hush. Shh. This elf is not my usual one of my usual characters, so he's a little bit owes a little bit to my old comic strip character Bolt from Bolt and Quiver, but it's not him. It's not Bolt, but it's similar. That's not how that goes. Got to bear in mind sometimes. What I was doing there with the legs, I wanted to have the boots, but what I did initially was to show the boots like this, where this leg behind. So this leg is going to be in front here on the left. This leg over on the right is behind it, but I've got the boot lower on the front than the back, and that's not how it's going to go. If you're looking at someone from a distance, things further away are going to get a little lower down, even if it's just that little bit of difference. All right, so we're going to put the little kitten here. Look how cute that kitten is. Ooh, am I doing? I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing I don't want to do. I'm drawing on the sketch layer. I was so anxious to jump in, I forgot to switch layers. Well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take that as an opportunity to redraw this a slight little bit because I'm not so happy with some of the things that went on with the elf. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna come back to uh, the blue color that I do my sketches in. I'm gonna take the same, do alpha lock, which now means that it will only draw on places that I've already drawn. So if I fill the layer, it's going to take all that black and make it blue. If I don't have alpha lock on and I say fill layer, it fills the whole layer with the color. But I did. I can undo that. So now, there. And I've got to come back and do my sketch again. Always be careful. Don't rush. This is why you don't rush in real life. Don't don't rush, because you make a mistake like that, and uh, it means having to redo work, or worst case scenario, you wind up losing work entirely. There are sometimes ways to fix that, but they're quite often a big pain in the butt, and you're just as good going back and redoing the work again. There we go. Now I'm going to be a little more careful about what I'm doing here with the elf. How are you guys doing this Thursday night? Anyone have any exciting plans for the end of the week coming up? One thing I'm just realizing, or I was looking at planning ahead for upcoming shows, and next Sunday, not this coming Sunday, but the one after it, is going to be the Academy Awards already. It's Oscar season, so I think I'm going to do a Oscar themed episode. I'm trying to decide exactly what that will look like. In when I say look like, I mean what the uh, the encounter tables will be like. How will I do that? I'm thinking, since you're here, I'll let you in on what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about doing a picking some classic Oscar-winning movies, classic movies, and then those will be the what's, and then I can either make it standard D&D character races, or maybe some of the monsters, and so we could have some. We might have something that wound up like uh, Beholder in Casablanca, or a dwarf in Sound of Music, or something like that. All right, so I did those, but what I wanted to do here was come in and give our little kitten the shoulder tentacles of a um, displacer beast. It's hard to pet the kitten when the kitten's a displacer kitten. That's that's a second joke that could be done at it, or a different joke. It wouldn't doesn't really match what we've drawn so far, but how do you pet a beholder kitten or a displacer kitten? Here we're going to have our fighter in heavy armor. And everyone's mad at him for making too much noise around the kitten. like so. I talked about this last week. I'm giving a little extra thought to drawing even quicker than usual, just to mix it up a little, give myself an extra challenge. Hmm. Here we go. It's looking okay. What do you guys think about that um, Oscar idea? And do you have any suggestions for movies that I might include on that list, or other ways I might take that take that idea, the general kind of doing something to do with the Oscars? I think I don't really want to do stuff with this year's movies, just because. Well, I mean, on the for one big thing is I haven't seen all of them, and another is that it's just there aren't as many. There just aren't things that I think are necessarily. We don't know it's going to be a classic. There's nothing in this year that uh, says to me that we're going to be talking about it even 3 or 5 years ago, or 3 or 5 years from now. So, if we're going to do an Oscar subject, I'm thinking it's going to be classics. But like I say, I'm still open to other ideas. If you guys have any, please share them. All right, let's see. Let's turn off the sketch layer now that I have successfully gotten away from it, and see that yeah, drawing quickly certainly means that the lines layer is not quite as clear as it always is. That's pretty good. Let's go to the coloring layer and throw some colors on there. Got my gloaming brush, and come in here and start adding in some pasty white flesh tone. I think. I don't know why I'm immediately going for the kitten. So here's one of the challenges. I was going to say problem, but I'm going to switch it over to challenges. Is that's very dark, particularly on the face. If I lighten that up just a little bit. You can hardly even tell that I lightened up that face, but it makes it easier to read. You know what? Let's do the whole kitten in that color. It's bugging me that that color difference. I know I just said you can hardly even tell, but I could tell. And there we go. Oh, you know where I do need that darker black? I'll use that for the rogues leathers. And we'll give our elf luxurious blonde hair. You can see how my color within a color within the shape thing is going to help to add some extra sense of definition, contour. I'm going to do my usual, so I often point out for the armor, I'm going to color the different pieces of armor based on how hard or flexible they are. It's not a thing that is going to be obvious, but it helps to create a sense, a logical sense that your brain kind of picks up on. I don't know why I'm feeling less talkative than usual tonight. Not that I don't want to talk, I'm happy to talk, but my brain is not feeding me lots of things to say off the top of my head, and I'm just drawing instead. You know, which is not bad. That's what the show's about, mostly. But I guess when I look up into the chat room, maybe I'll find something you guys are talking about there that will inspire me to words. And I'm looking at the big problem, the big challenge with this is how our dark little kitten just kind of fades into the middle there. I'm not quite sure there's really anything to do about that. You're going to have to, if you just look at this very quickly, if I shrink this down and we look at it small, the kitten becomes a jumble. So visually that's problematic, but we're not going for a finished piece, right? This is just something to think for me to think about as I go ahead and finish it up. Well, something it would be something for me to think about if I was going to be doing this in a more finished format. But I'm not. So I'm going to grab my pen and go back to the inking style, inking brush, and I'm going to put a stand in the corner and say that we have completed. We have adventurers and a purring kitten, a sleeping kitten. Aww. I'm still, the funny thing to me still is thinking about things to do with how would you pet a sleeping displacer beast kitten. I don't know. But there we go. There is our finished drawing from the first section. And oh, I'm all alone. There's no one in the chat room right now. At least according to what my things are telling me. Michael Pastor Lessing said King's Speech with a Kenku would be funny. Oh, King's Speech, that's a good one to put up. Unless I want to really pair them up, especially, I'd like to keep some of the what am I thinking? The mystery, the randomness. I want the random encounters. I still want to keep some of the randomness involved. So pairing it up might be fun too. I don't know. I'll think about that. But yeah, King's Speech, that's a good one. Things from different decades. I mean, what I of course, with my gray hair here, right? I'm an old guy. There are a lot of when I think about Oscar greats, I go back to a lot of classic films, and the closer they are to now, the more I'm. It's not that I discount them, but when I think of classic Oscar films, that's not where I go. So I turn to you, my friends who are probably at least a little younger than I am. And anyone who's watching this on replay, leave a message, leave a chat. We've got a whole week ahead of time. Tell me what movies would you like to see me put on the list for the random encounters, the Oscar random encounters. Chris Andrew says you're there. All right, so it's giving me bad information. I'm glad. I'd rather have bad information than you hear than good information and you not hear. Okay, so we've done this. I've got the drawing done. And it's time for me to rearrange this. We're going to turn off round 1, turn on round 2, turn back on our encounter tables. I will take another little sip of my soda. We are here, like the Who's down in Whoville. Have you guys ever seen the animated Horton Hears a Who? Oh, it's a Dr. Seuss book. In case you don't even know what Horton Hears a Who is, they made it into a movie. I keep forgetting. Yeah, the original. I did not see the movie, so I don't know how that went. But the original Chuck Jones animated version of Horton Hears a Who had a really great bit at the end, and it's in the book too, so I'm pretty sure it wound up in the movie, where all the Who's down in Whoville are shouting, "We are here, we are here, we are here, we are here." So I very often, when something like that comes out, I will say, like the Who's down in Whoville, "We are here, we are here," and most often, whoever I'm talking to doesn't get the reference. Oh well. Okay, one more sip and then we'll do it. Oh, hard to sip and belch at the same time. All right. Little trouble along the way, but to finish the first drawing, time to dig in and do a second one. So I'm going to go back to the No, not that. To the dice rolling app. What a night I'm having, huh? Dice rolling app, and we're gonna get a new who and a new what. So let's roll the dice, get it rolling, buzzing, 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 and two is now our who, and our what is six. It really is funny how the randomization comes up sometimes. Instead of 6 and 2, we're now 2 and 6. Let's see what that means. That means a Grick and Girl Scout cookies. I haven't put a Grick on here in a long time. It's a pretty obscure D&D monster. I was going back through some of the old episodes to look for monsters that I haven't used very often, because I come back to a lot of them over and over because they're fun. I could do a mimic. I could just keep it always the same with a mimic and a dragon and a beholder, and that would be fine. But I like to mix it up. So let's turn that off. We're gonna have a Grick and Girl Scout cookies. Now, a Grick, for those of you who don't know, is a very weird monster. It's got a long, I'm going to do a quick sketch. It's got a long, snaky like body, and then it comes up at the head. It's got a big kind of parrot or octopus style beak that's surrounded by these tentacles, these big, not very long, kind of grasping worm, graboid style tentacles. And that is what a Grick is. Just one of those weird D&D creatures that we love so much. So the challenge right now is to mix a Grick with yeah. And Chris says Grick stories remind you of the graboids. Me too. When I see the graboids, I think someone liked Gricks. All right. So now I could. Do Gricks tunnel? Are they burrowing, tunneling creatures? They look like they should be, like graboids. And for those of you who don't know what we mean when we say graboids, we're talking about the Tremors movies from the 90s and early aughts. Well, then they've been recent. I guess Tremors is now a big, long um, property with lots of iterations. But let me just look up Grick D&D and see answer my own question before I. It blends in with the rocks and caverns. It doesn't seem to. No, it doesn't burrow. It just lives in rocks and caverns. Okay, so we can't have it. I was thinking about whether I was going to have it bursting out of the ground. Um, oh, look at that. Michael Pastor's got a big list of movies. All right. So I think then in that case, um, here's what I'm going to do. Oop, come on, we're going to go back. Oh, did the wrong thing. Clear that, not hide it. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a Grick. We're going to start with where the head will be and the Grick body like this. Doing a quick, just loose sketch. And we're gonna give it like a little beret, like the Girl Scouts wear, and a sash with merit badges on it. Give it a green body wrap like this. Um, I some yeah. My other thought was to have it just kind of looming over a little Girl Scout and saying, Have you got any Thin Mints? Maybe that's what I'll do instead. I'm kind of liking the Grick in the Girl Scout uniform, but I don't know. Let's make that bigger, and then I can come back here and change how it's laying out just so it's using the page better. And then down here, we can have a Girl Scout looking terrified. Now my first thought, I have two thoughts. Like it could be just saying, uh, you know, I'll take 300 boxes of Thin Mints, or it could be more threatening, like, what do you mean you're out of Thin Mints? And those are decisions that can come at the end. So you guys can certainly weigh in on how that will play out, whether our Grick is going to be angry or just surprisingly uh, into the cookies. All right, I'm going to remember to go to the lines layer this time. I think I'm going to start drawing a little girl. And I don't know why I would say and without something that followed up, but I did. Uh, Holding up the cookies. Oh, poor little Girl Scout. She's got to be terrified. What do you mean? Yeah, you like the angry one? What do you mean you're out of Thin Mints? It's people get really serious about their Girl Scout cookies. I imagine that if the Grick came looking for Girl Scout cookies, and came looking for Thin Mints, and there weren't any. Trouble would be had. On the other hand, I I always imagine the Girl Scouts have an answer to everything. Like, it doesn't matter how many you ordered; they've got you covered. Yuck, those aren't coming out right. Rushing a little too much on those. Want to give it a scaly body like that. But it's important that I not rush it too much. Tagalongs. I'll tell you, here's my unpopular opinion for the night. Everyone always talks about Thin Mints, but they're only like my third or fourth favorite. I think that I think they changed the name of them. They used to be called samosas. Those are or samosas. I don't. Samosas are Indian food. Samoas. Um, those are my go-to Girl Scout cookie. All right, let's turn off the sketch layer. See what we got here. That's looking okay. I think better than the last one. Let's come in here and we'll start doing some coloring. So Gricks blend in with the rock. So we're going to give them a brownish grayish tint. On the upper part of their body, the part that will be most visible. I made the brush wider there because I want to cover. I talk about the shape within the shape. And part of that is being clear that when it is just one shape, you try to get it as much in one stroke as possible. All right, and then I think we'll go for a more orangey. Um, Underside. An even more orangey beak. That's looking bricky to me. Come here, our Girl Scout got a brown beret, if I'm remembering correctly. Green top, darker green skirt, lighter green sash, with splashes of color. Let's erase where the merit badges are so I can just add some splashes of color. The red, the blue, a couple of blues, a bright yellow. There we go. I'm trying to figure out what color hair I want to give her, and I think we'll just go with a red hair. Now, because that's is a good contrast to everything else we've got up there. Okay, and purple. I don't know if you can hear the dog barking by me, but nope. I've may have this may have come up before, but I live across the street from a dog park, and so sometimes people just like to take their dogs there and leave them there to yap. It doesn't seem like anyone's tending them, or if they are, they don't care. Sure, go ahead, yap, dog, yap, yap, yap. And so I will have to sit here and listen to a yappy dog. It's, it's for some reason it's easier for me when I can hear the, what the dog is yapping. If it's two dogs yapping at each other, less annoying than one dog just yapping. I don't know what that dog is seeing. Probably a squirrel or something. It's bugging it. Oh, look, squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. Yes, it's a park. There are squirrels. Go, looking pretty good, I think. Just now we're at the point where, so I want to come here. I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to get a kind of a shadowy blue. And make it so that it seems like the the Grick is really looming over um, our Girl Scout. Also, I think just given the way her eyes are, I want to. No, that's not a good color. I want to do something to really, again, to get the idea that the eyes are bulging. Right now, they're just kind of big, wide open, but I want that feeling that they're bulging out open. So I'm going to um, put a little shading on the underside to give that rounded feeling. And then we'll go back to our lines layer and our inking brush, and it's time for me to look up and see what you guys had to say. Are we going with the I don't care how many tentacles you have, 4 boxes of cookies max per customer. Yeah. um, how do you make a Grick laugh? Give it Nine or tentacle. Oh, nine or tentacles. Gok, 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 gok. So that kind of, I'm looking at the tag-alongs again. I'm thinking, so it's we're gonna say something like tag-alongs. What do you mean? You're out of Thin Mints? Give her a little shake, couple of shake lines, not too many. I want to redo that tag along, so I want that to be even bigger or even heavier. There we go. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, how about Samoas? Tag alongs. You mean you're out of Thin Mints? Out. I'm gonna make the out even bigger too. I think we got a good one. Good job, team. Well done. See, Mark Monlux is here. Hey, Mark, and I know you're a big cookie fan too, Mr. Mark Monlux. Thank you for popping in and saying hi, joining us. There we go. Second drawing of the evening done. A, a Grick and Girl Scout cookies. Mm. So I'm going to put that down, have a little sip, see if there's anything else going on here. I'm looking at Michael's list of movies that he listed for. Mark, you might have missed this. I put an open question to the crowd earlier. Uh, I'm thinking that next week I'm going to do a Oscars themed um, episode, and I was thinking about what classic movies I might put in that to make the what column. The Who's will still be D&D monsters or D&D creatures of some sort, but the what will be classic Oscar movies. And so Michael said West Side Story, Titanic, Casablanca, Sound of Music, The Sting, Godfather, Rocky, Chariots of Fire. These are all pretty good ones. Silence of the Lambs. That's a little creepy. Forrest Gump, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Oppenheimer. Yeah, those last two, I like them. They're both really great movies. Little, little on the new side. Um, how about Samoas? How about Samoas? I kind of think that I put that on the side with slightly smaller text so it could feel like tag-alongs. You mean you're out of Thin Mints? How about Samoas? Kind of pause and a drop in tone. That and again, that's why you want the in order to achieve that, I've moved it to its own word balloon, a smaller word balloon, and slightly smaller lettering. Yeah, no, Michael's list is good. And it's more than I need. Doesn't mean I want more. I don't want more suggestions. I could run just off that and put it together. I just got to pick the 6 for, or probably only 4, if I'm going to make it special. If I'm going to do it the way I usually do the specials. Um, anyway, there we go. Grick and Girl Scout cookies. Done. So I'm going to have another sip and reset the table here. We'll close out round 2 and open up round 3. Turn back on the encounter tables. Clear my throat. Had 2 big drawings, and it's time to go back for a third. We're going to go over here to our random encounter tables. Well, we got the tables. We're going to go over to our die roller and see if we can get a number that's not a 6 or a 2. And so far, the randomization has been all 6s and 2s. See, we got another 6. Come on. 3 and 2. Stop it. Stop it. Oh, look at this. Do I need to get a new die roller? 3 and 3. Well, I mean, we know from past weeks that 4s and 5s also, and 1s also get rolled. This is what randomization looks like. A lot of clumping. But here we got a 3 and a 3, which would be Walrusfolk Windshield Scraper. So it looks like you're not getting your Mimic this week, but you know what that means. The Mimic stays on the list. We'll get to the Mimic. Just not tonight. Walrusfolk Windshield Scraper. Okay. Let's come back here. Clear that off. We're going to sketch us a Walrusfolk and a Windshield Scraper. So, how do we... I'm kind of thinking that coming up with a gag is going to be important here because it's where we will place the Walrusfolk. I mean, it could just be a standard. What windshield is he going to be scraping, or is the gag that he's scraping with his tusks? So I mean, we could have it that the Walrusfolk is using his tusks as a scraper. And he's scraping the windshield. We've got giving him a snowmobile is the windshield that is getting scraped. I suppose if I see Michael's suggestion. We have someone sitting on the skidoo. There we go. All right, now I need that on there. I need that on there. Looking like a beaver. That's not good. I guess I'm gonna. I don't usually do a lot of looking things up, but in order to make sure that I don't wind up drawing a beaver, I am gonna come and just give myself a quick look at a walrus. All right, that'll do. I got to get those eyes off the. So what, by moving the eyes forward and having a rather flat snout, it was giving that beaver look. By giving it a longer snout, not putting ears on it. There we go. That ought to do. And not have not have a nose like a, but just a couple of nostril slits. That will give me the walrus look I want to get. The challenge with walrus folk is that walrus, of course, don't have hind feet, but walrus folk do. They got to be able to walk around, otherwise, they're just walruses, which in itself is okay too. But that's not the challenge here. All right, I think that's enough sketching there. Let's go in and do some drawing, shall we? Not happy with that eye. I really want him to look surprised. A little sad and surprised. Maybe the problem wasn't the underside of the eye, but the upper side of the eye. No? That's better. And small little details like that have a can have a very big impact. Just that shape of the circle of the eye. For me, for what I wanted to get out of it was a pretty big change. I can understand it probably seems more subtle to the rest of the world. Alright, and then we're going to come up here and have the windshield like that, and it's going to be shattered. Like so. This guy's mad. Oh my god, I just looked up and saw that I have no other porpoise. Don't make me turn this live stream around. I'm just going to have to come in front of the feet. So again, I'm glad that I have some digital space, as it were, to take those out. Let's have pieces of broken glass here and there. Alright, let's turn off the sketch layer and see what we got, huh? Let's see. Yeah. Want to put some hint of snow there. And that nose is just hanging out there. I have to put that too close behind. It's just looking funny. Oh well. I think the coloring will help that. So let's get in there and do some coloring, shall we? I guess I was so worried about that I had to do it first. I don't. The the human there, not what I'm thinking. I really want to color first, but I wanted to see if doing the skin there, skin tone, was going to eliminate my problems with the nose, and it pretty much did. Hmm. Hold on. Hold on a sec, he said. Why did he say that? Because again, I'm going to go for a larger brush to make this whole piece seem of a piece. Make it easier for me to show it as one shape and then come back and erase out where I want the glass bits to be. So I can put a little blue on those and show that they're glass bits. You know what? No. Do lighter red on the side of the skidoo and another kind of off-white for the underbelly of the skidoo. I just like saying skidoo. Any of you guys ever been out doing much skidooing, much snowmobiling? They're weird contraptions, snowmobiles. There's a funny there's a bit in suppose I'll leave it up to you to decide whether or not it's funny. uh, there's a bit in the um, oh Albert Brooks. I couldn't come up with Albert. The Albert Brooks movie Defending Your Life, um, about snowmobiles, where he's accused of being doing things out of fear, and it's mentioned that he snowmobiled and only once and never did it again, and he's kind of what I think is a very funny bit where he says, "No, that was not fear. Those things are terrible. They're things you don't tell about. Like they smell like a wet cat, and you go out and they get heat up, and they don't tell you this. It gets you suddenly you got the hair burning off your legs. Funny bit in a funny movie. Go see it because I just screwed it up entirely. It's much funnier than that. All right, and now I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put a couple of these shadowy bits to show that there's snow. But then I'm also going to go back to an inking brush and I'm going to draw in some snowy mountains in the background. And now it's time to put whatever he's going to be saying in, because I see you guys have written a few things, and I want to look at them before I start putting it in, because you guys have had some good thoughts recently. You picked a heck of a time to sneeze. That's my aunt had one. Uh, oh, you took right to it. All right. Well, good for you. I don't have much use for them, but I'm not. It's not surprising. I'm not a motorcycle guy. I'm not a going fast with open air blowing past me guy. I'm not a big uh, motorboat guy. So, um, I have no other. I just got to the porpoise in life again. Um, I think something back around. That's not how you make air conditioning. It's a my vehicle doesn't need air conditioning. um, I think it's just going to be next time. Just use the ice scraper. No, that's not lining up. I like. I mean, that's what I want to say, but that lettering is not lining up right. Let's go back and do it again, or maybe I'll come and do it in on the sketch layer so we get it right. So it'll be next time. Just use the ice scraper. There we go. That'll do it. All right. So be a little more careful here and say next time. Just use the ice scraper. Mm. There we go. I got to do something. You know what? No, we're not done yet because I've got to come in here and show something so we can see through the ice scraper. Yeah, that helps a little. I don't think anything's going to help that a lot. Ideally, I would have something to draw in there that would be clearly that it was in a distance or beyond there. I think those little nubbits, those little snow lumps help a little. There would be a better solution. But You did, Chris. You worked really hard to get that porpoise joke in, and I'm here to honor you. Cheers to you, my friend. You did it. But it's not going in my drawing. Here's another reason why I encourage you to draw along with me. You could do all the porpoise jokes you want. Not that I have anything against porpoise jokes. Dear. I want a little darker than that. We'll put down. Okay. Whale, I tell you. See, whale? Huh? 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 No. Bad Stan. I'm gonna sit right down and write myself a signature. Then we got a Walrusfolk Ice Scraping badly. There we go. Walrusfolk Ice Scraper done. Now it's time for me to have a sip. One more sip. We'll do an outro and we'll get on with our end of the week rituals. Exactly. But you know what? There's a lot of gifs and memes for the rim shot. My favorite is the claymation monkey drummer. I don't know what that's from. I'm sure I've seen it, and I just can't remember what it's from. But it's a monkey, literally a monkey. I think he's even like in a sailor outfit, sitting at a drum set, and he goes, "Ba-doom-tsh." He rolls his eyes and goes, "Oh, ba-doom-tsh." That's my favorite one. Okay. Well, folks, we've done it. We've come to the end of another fun improv cartooning session with lots of fun chat going on in in the chat room. Fun chat and questionable puns, which are my favorite kind. We have here Walrusfolk Ice Scraper, or should have used an ice scraper. We before that we had a Grick and Girl Scout cookies, and we started off with adventurers and a purring kitten. Aww. And that's what we did this week. So I want to thank everyone for coming in. I thank Michael Pastor and Chris Andrew, who were here as always. And I do not take you for granted. Mark Von Lux, my friend, was here for a while, and I saw some other people popped in and out of the chat. So thank you all. So glad to see you. I will be back next week. And we talked about it here. Next week is going to be the week before the Academy Awards. So I'm thinking about doing an Oscar themed show. And Chris and Michael helped with some pitches for what might go on that show. Come back and see it. I will be back, of course, next Wednesday with another episode of 50 Years in the Dungeon. In fact, it will be. It's not the last episode of the show. As I've said for a while, I'm going to keep going. But it is the show where I will reach the culmination of what I set out to do, which is to do interviews and a cartoon homage for one piece of D&D art from each of the 50 years that the game has existed. And we're up to this year, which is the 51st or 52nd year, and there we go. So come back, certainly join in there. I'm gonna have a very special guest for that show too. So I hope you'll stop by and see that same time on a Wednesday night. In the meanwhile, if you're watching this on replay, thank you, first of all. Second of all, it would mean a lot to me if you could click the like button, give me a like or a heart or whatever on the platform you're watching it on. Leave me a message. Tell me that you came by. And if you have any suggestions for what I could do for a Academy Award, an Oscar special, leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Till then, do some drawing. That's your homework. Do something. Do something fun. Do some drawing. Just get into it. Do some drawing. I'm done for the night. I'm clearly done for the night. Thank you for coming. Thank Michael and Andrew. Thank you for being here. I always appreciate you. I will see you all next time. Till then.